mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Out of Patience. My guest today is Erica Campbell. She is the executive director at the Pinky Swear Foundation. And my God, this group has such an extraordinary origin story. I cannot wait for you to hear how she shares this. And they've been around since 2002. And I only just recently found out about them, and I feel terrible. I should have known them. They do incredible work giving financial assistance to families who have sick kids. And what more noble act is there in life than, in Yiddish we say, in Hebrew we say tzedakah, or tithing, and just helping out people who need help. She is has like a super corporate background, and she worked for the British Embassy for a long time. I think she's a fake secret agent, but she really is an international woman of mystery. She's fabulous. She's smart. She's sassy. She takes no shit from anyone. And she is a breast cancer survivor herself and the author of the book, The Mastectomy I Always Wanted. Without further ado, Erica Campbell. Erica Campbell, welcome to Out of Patience.
I am so happy to be here, Matthew.
I got to ask, Campbell is your married name, maiden name?
It is my married name.
All right. Dare I ask your maiden name, and was it an upgrade?
It was an absolute upgrade. My maiden name is Newbert, and also spelled a little bit challenging with an Neubert.
Wait, did they call you like Dilbert in school?
Oh, I got Qbert all the time.
Qbert.
Qbert, yeah, and sometimes shortened to Q.
Look it up, kids. Qbert. Actually, he made a comeback in the terrible Adam Sandler movie Pixels.
Oh, I haven't even followed Qbert since.
Yeah, it was a terrible comeback, but at least, he paid an homage in a terrible movie.
That's right. Now I've put it behind me, and now I get confused with Campbell's Soup.
Yes.
So
I did, I think I was like maybe 9 years old. My mom took me to do a Campbell's Soup ad in New York City. It's like my one chance to stardom.
I should get your autograph.
Yes. So is your husband related to the Campbell's family?
Oh, I wish. No, he is not.
Okay.
No. And, I also get asked, are we related to somebody in Scotland? And do I have a Turton? But I don't have any of that.
Nev Campbell?
No, but I wish she'd call me.
I know. Oh, Nev Campbell. Another 80s, 90s. God, we're so Gen X.
We are so Gen
terrifying.
X.
So listeners, we're recording this during the day instead of at night, so there might be some city noise. So Manhattan's a character in the show. Enjoy the bangs, the bumps, the dings, the dents, the yells, the screams. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Wouldn't want to. And actually, fun fact, I am from New York.
Yeah, you mentioned that before the show. You're from Long
Island.
And you can channel it hard, can you?
I can channel it hard. I can say I went to the mall. I had big hair in high school. It's all good.
So when do you expatriate?
Well, I now live in the Midwest, and I love it.
That's very large. Where in the Midwest? Because I'm aware there's things left of Jersey.
There are things left of Jersey. I'm now in Minneapolis, Minnesota, just outside in Edina.
I'll approve it.
Yeah, it's a great town.
It's the largest fucking airport I could ever have been at.
It's a lovely airport.
It took me like 11 hours to walk from Terminal A to Terminal Z.
It's incredible, actually. I love the investments they've made in that.
All credit where credit's due. It's a great airport. It's a great city.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you'd asked the Long Island teenager...
The what?
The Long Island teenager
Better.
Back then, if I would ever see myself living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I would have thought, no, you're crazy. But now I can't imagine anything else.
Wait, so when you also channeled the Fargo thing too?
I don't know if I can't
Minnesota.
do the Fargo accent, but I can do the you betcha. You betcha.
Okay, that counts.
Yeah.
So now what you have to do is do a one-man show combining the best of You Betcha and The Mall.
Yes, exactly.
Tina Marie goes to Mayo Clinic.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I love the Mayo Clinic. They do incredible work.
I gave a concert there once.
Really?
Yeah. It was the strangest, like, of all the weird things of boxes I've ticked. They're like, come to the Mayo Clinic, Matt. Why? We want you to give a concert. Why? Okay. So there's like a piano. This is like a long time ago when I wasn't like before stupid cancer. And like, all right, come out to Mayo Clinic. And I literally was like the lounge lizard in the atrium when people walked in for the day.
Oh, but honestly, that space is so soothing and healing. I'm glad you did that for patients.
It was great.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, I'm 26, why not? Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful atrium. If anybody's been able to be there, and the light, the chandeliers, and again, the music.
Yeah. I noticed on your resume, something I've never had anyone on the show tick this box. The British Embassy? You have to talk about this.
Yeah, I was living in Washington, D.C. and heard about this job at the British Embassy. And it turns out they do hire a lot of Americans to manage the staff.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I loved the work, though. Really just eye-opening in terms of the global landscape of this country.
And what was that like for you to go from Long Island to the British Embassy?
Well, I learned all sorts of new vocabulary, right? British English is definitely different than American English. So I will say that sometimes I get all sorts of mixed up.
You still do that too?
Yeah, I mean, I say words sometimes strangely, like innovative versus innovative, things that the British do.
Aluminium?
Yes, absolutely. And, things like table, meaning when you put things on the table, that's not the same meaning in the British. To take it off the table would be the opposite in British slang. So
that's a third character for your Broadway show now.
There you go.
You keep piling these characters up.
There you go.
Pretty awesome.
There you go.
So what did you do for them?
I did some human resources work with their U.S. consulates. And then I did some work globally on some change management, just helping them modernize.
What does that mean? Like, I'm in kindergarten with a crayon. Explain it to me.
Yes. So they were really, like anybody else in the early 2000s and later, just kind of behind on technology because they wanted to keep everything safe. But, there was a pressure to modernize, use Wi-Fi and things like that. So it was just a big change program to be able to bring the organization into the 21st century. And they did a great job. So kudos to the British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minus that whole occupying the planet thing, they're slowly starting to shed. Yeah. India. Goodness. I also noticed that you were involved with Camp Special Love.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you know Jan Bresch?
I do know Jan Bresch. She's amazing.
Jan was one of my earliest mentors 20 years ago in the space.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, Jan just retired from Special Love.
Yes.
And she has been just an incredible leader, has transformed that organization. What a small world.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm also like Kevin Bacon at this place too. Everyone knows me. It's a terrible privilege to be maybe the bartender of oncology at this point now. But yeah, I've spoken at their events. I've been a huge proponent of what they do. We'll put a link in the episode for the listeners. Camp Special Love. Tell everyone what they do. Yeah,
they provide summer camps and experiences for children with cancer. And that's actually where I started my career. When I say career, when my life's work in supporting kids with cancer and their families. I was a volunteer at their summer camps, and I got to witness, what it was like to be a mom to a child with cancer. It was a sleepaway camp, and I'd be in charge of teenagers or 8-year-olds. So I got woken up in the middle of the night for nausea. I got to hold the hand of kids who were receiving chemotherapy at camp. I also taught dance classes and created a sense of normalcy and beauty for a lot of those kids. Incredible experiences. Really, really changed who I am and shaped my outlook.
One doesn't typically go around and say, I'm going to volunteer for a kid cancer camp. Where did that come from?
Right out of college, I was an accountant. So Matthew, I know, and you and your listeners have just met me, but that was not a great career for me. I thought it was. I thought it was my dream job. I got an undergraduate degree in accounting. And I was really upset. One evening, my mom and I were talking, and she said, you got to stop the pity party. And, I know you're, unhappy in your career, but get out. Get out and help someone else. And so I looked around. I did a lot of other volunteering. I did Habitat for Humanity. I was a Girl Scout leader. But then I found an article in the Washington Post about a summer camp for children with cancer. And I'll tell you, I got goosebumps. And I thought, that's something interesting. So I called and I found myself in a volunteer orientation. And I sat in the back and I said 2 things to myself. Okay, I am going to dedicate my life to children with cancer. And number 2, someday I want to lead an organization helping kids with cancer. Right? And in that moment, I had no path to either of those things, but I set a really clear vision and it felt so good in my bones. And, here I am today.
You're really good at this conversation thing. I'm getting a spidey sense you have a theater background.
I do. I was in theater in high school.
Validated.
Yes.
We got to go into this. Go on.
Yeah. And, I found my purpose. And yes, I continued in my corporate career for the next 20 plus years, but I would take time off of work and do this volunteer work. And I found that's where I really lit up. It felt like a perspective that nobody else had. And I just continued to want to hold on to that vision of just taking my corporate experiences, like all the British Embassy, all the change, HR, team leadership, and how could I translate that to helping kids with cancer? And so when I found this role at Pinky Swear Foundation, I was like, oh my goodness.
So it existed before you found it?
Absolutely.
When was it started?
It was founded in 2002, and it was by a little boy named Mitch. Can I tell you the story?
Please do.
Yeah. This is how we got our name. Everyone always asks, how do you get the name Pinky Swear Foundation? So back then, there was a 9-year-old boy named Mitch, and he was diagnosed with a terminal bone cancer. And one evening, he overheard a family next door to him that couldn't afford Christmas presents. And it broke his heart. And he was like, Dad, I want to do something about this. And in that moment, Mitch and his dad agreed Mitch could withdraw his entire life savings from the bank. So his dad went and got the funds. And that evening, late that night, they anonymously gave all of the money to every other kid on the oncology floor in orange envelopes, and in particular, the family next door. Now, Mitch, it was late at night. He didn't want to be seen. And he didn't want to wake anybody up. So he's sort of wheeled quietly out. He was in a wheelchair, and his wheelchair hit the side of the door frame. He's like, Dad, run. And so they're wheeling down the hallway, and they get to the elevator. The doors close. Mitch is out of breath. And he's like, oh, Dad, that was amazing. I loved giving. And I can't wait to do it next year. Mitch's dad was really honest with him about his prognosis. And so took his deep breath, looked at his son and said, well, I'm sorry, buddy, but I don't think you're going to be here next year. And this 9-year-old boy with the courage of a leader and the innocence of a child looks up at his dad and says, okay, Dad, well, make me a pinky swear promise that you will keep doing this after I'm gone.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That to me is just the greatest gift of joy and sacrifice and self-service. And it was a 9-year-old boy.
Unbelievable.
And what also I think about is what gets created in small moments and what is the ripple effect of kindness?
Yeah.
That year, Mitch and his dad gave out $6,000 that evening, right? Across all the families on the oncology floor. And last year, Pinky Swear Foundation, we did $1.2 million in financial payments to families just like Mitch. We take that original Pinky Swear promise. Mitch's dad calls me from time to time. He says, Erica, are you upholding my son's Pinky Swear promise? I'm like, you bet.
No pressure. My God. Wow. Let me think about that answer.
Yeah, right? And I find that the greatest honor to be able to do that work and to do what Mitch envisioned in that quiet elevator late one evening in a private moment with his dad.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What was his disease?
Osteosarcoma.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think sarcomas that's the second most prevalent cancer, right? It's like leukemia's first, sarcomas, then brain cancer.
Yeah, it's a really challenging one. And he had it in his leg, which is why he was in a wheelchair. And it was really painful for him.
How did he discover it? The reason I ask this, my late brother-in-law had Ewing sarcoma. And he was diagnosed at 15 because he fell on a skateboard. And they found that during an x-ray.
Yeah. Yeah, Mitch was having pain in his leg. And, his mom advocated to, have it looked at. At first they maybe thought it was just growing pains.
Right.
And, it was, mother's intuition. She knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moms tend to know things.
It turns out they do. Moms are very smart. Yeah.
Yeah. What an incredible kid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think about him all the time. It's been nearly 25 years. And I didn't get a chance to meet him, but I feel like I did, right? I've heard that story. I felt it in my bones. And that's what I do every day. I joke that I have Mitch's old job. Pinky Swear Foundation, we provide financial support to families with a child battling cancer.
I want to talk about this after the break, but really quickly, like running a nonprofit where you're helping people is almost like toxically addictive.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to help more and more people every day, and you can't do that.
Oh, yes.
And you mentioned 1.2 million. It took me 7 years to get stupid cancer to 1.2 million.
Wow.
And I was like, we need to help more people.
Yes.
And I like lost sleep at night.
Oh, yeah, me too.
We're going to do nonprofit therapy after the break. Coming up soon.
Yep.
The bourbon's right there. Do you have any life hacks or tricks you've had to teach yourself on how to sleep at 3 a.m?
Well, number one, I do stay up at night. And you're right, it is addictive. Not addictive, but it is a life passion. Mm-hmm. And our vision is to say yes to every family. And we are not doing that right now because the need is so great. And we serve families nationwide. But how I personally reconcile that is similar to my camp work. I couldn't change the outcome. I don't have a medical degree, but I can do something. And I know that the impact of financial support ultimately provides parents and families with the opportunity to take away stress, particularly financial stress, and be present with their child. Yes, we give financial payments, but we give the gift of time. And I feel completely at confidence and at ease knowing that, again, I couldn't change the outcome, good or bad, but I can make a difference. And that allows me to put my head on the pillow every night.
It's a good answer.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, there are so many kids.
I mean, this is like a bad answer. A terrible answer. Say it again.
Yeah. But there's so many kids that we've loved and lost, and everyone has someone they've loved and lost. And to be able to make a difference in that journey, whether it's a long journey, whether it's a short journey, whether they, end up, healthy or, unfortunately the opposite, that opportunity to have a tangible impact, like the direct impact is that's my jam. That's the dopamine. Yeah. I mean, there's, research is great, but that's going to help a kid or a family in the future, right? It may help them in 1, 2, 5, 10 years. The direct impact and direct service work and financial support, that helps a family right now.
I can't tell you how much that resonates with me because the young adult cancer movement was never about research.
Yeah.
Like, we need help now.
Right.
You can do all the great stuff you want over here, but we need help today.
Yes.
And that was hard for people to understand.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is, when you hear about a child or a young adult with a cancer diagnosis, immediately and naturally, the target goes to like, what is the cure? What is the treatment plan?
Yeah.
Right. And that is absolutely correct. But I believe in this, like, it's an ecosystem of support. That's the second ring around that is equally important, right? It's like, what financial support do you have? What peer support do you have? What housing support do you have? What, sort of emotional support do you have? Those things contribute to the health and the outcome of a childhood or a young adult cancer or any cancer journey.
You had me hello. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back after these words from God Knows Who. All right, nonprofit therapy. I have my own horror stories and my success stories, and I have a specific question to ask you after you answer this question, but do you have any one particular, I hate volunteers, but I need to love volunteers story? Without naming anyone specifically, because volunteer management is like wrangling cats.
Oh, but I love our volunteers.
You can love your volunteers, but I swear to God, it's wrangling cats. With all full love and respect for what they want to do to help you, everyone has very different goals and agendas. How have you learned the delicate, diplomatic, PTA level, HOA level management skills of volunteers?
Well, we have a program that, we did design for volunteers because we get a lot of people who want to help. The number one way people can help is, to be honest, is fundraising, right? Or connections. Because in our business model, the more I fundraise, the more I'm able to help families. Like, it's not more complicated than that. So when someone comes to us and says, I want to volunteer, my first answer is, great. Do you want to start a fundraiser? And we have digital tools to do that. But then if someone says, well, I want to give of my time, we offer financial support. So we've designed a program that's actually volunteers can write a letter of encouragement to a child with cancer. So all of our financial payments to newly diagnosed families has a letter of encouragement in it. And it's a great win-win because people can do those letters of encouragement at home. They can come into our offices, but we serve families nationwide. So we can't be in all places. But this is a way to do it virtually. And also, we can provide education. So I've got a company right now that is actually out in Seattle. They are doing this with their conference. So they've got like a huge conference going on, and they're going to tell the Pinky Swear story. They're going to tell that Mitch story we told earlier. They're going to ask all of their conference attendees to write a letter of encouragement to children with cancer. And then they're going to mail that to us. So it's, it is a great way to channel that, time, talent, and treasure. This is the timepiece.
All right. So my follow-up question is this. In the earliest days, I think long before Stupid Cancer, I was asked to join an advisory board for a nonprofit that gave out grants to human beings, like financial assistance nonprofit. And I was on a committee that had to sort through hundreds of applications. And how do I decide who gets this? How are you less worse or more worse than someone else? And I had to leave. I never give up on anything. I had a very, very difficult time morally, ethically, socially, mentally, deciding who gets to have money, who doesn't. How does that work? And how do you, red or white or rosé?
It is the hardest part of this work. And I have an incredible programs team that unfortunately is tasked with making these difficult decisions. I got to say it again, Matthew. My vision is to say yes to every family so that that decision isn't challenging, right? We do have a weighted average of our applications, and we partner with social workers. And we are not only verifying the need, but really getting guidance from them on where is the greatest need and where can we make the biggest impact with our limited funds. And right now, we offer some really large payments to families. So we're able to pay mortgages, rent, car payments, gas, groceries. The average gift size is about $800. That's a lot. The funds go really fast. So we open up our applications on the first of the month. It's, you go to our website and you can easily apply. Right now, our application is only open about 6 or 8 hours, and then we have to close it because I don't want to have to say no to a family, right? That's, like you said, that's the hardest part. So we feel it's ethically responsible to close those applications so that I don't have to say no to a family. But the fact that an entire month's budget for us is filled up in a few hours. I mean, just this past month, in the first hour, we had 72 applications for support. And we serve families nationwide.
I mean, your intake must be endless.
Oh, it's endless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we partner with every oncology hospital, and it's like this, these are like the hidden costs of cancer, right? I'm really interested in elevating this conversation because everyone, of course, focuses on the health of the child, and that's right. And I want to be in that second place where I can help them financially behind the scenes.
Yeah. I guess the most semi-relevant version of this for me was I was 21, I was in college, so I was adult-ish, and my dad was 47 with a full-time job. But the hidden cost of my treatments were $160 a day in parking at Sloan Kettering.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, parking. I mean, gas.
A day.
A day.
Driving into Manhattan from Staten Island every single day, $80 every day for 5 days a week for 3 months. Yeah.
And that adds up.
Yes.
And Matthew, thank you for sharing that because that is not something that everybody knows, how much gas and parking is. We're working with a family right now who lives in a rural community. It is a 3-hour drive for that child and parent to go to the closest oncology hospital that fits their son's diagnosis. And they do that several times a week. And how much gas alone? I mean, they are fighting for their son's life. They are going to do that. And so again, we're able to walk beside them and give them the money just to put gas in the car.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to have them choose between whether they get their son's treatment or whether they put gas in the car.
So tax question. I've been in this space. How do you avoid them having to get 1099s?
Yeah, great question. So any of our larger payments over the federal IRS limit of $600 goes straight to the vendor. So we're going to pay directly to your mortgage company, to your car company, to the landlord. And then, we do give gift cards for gas and groceries, and those are under the federal limit of $600.
Very smart.
Yeah. We don't want a tax liability on top of what they're going through.
We had to learn that the hard way at Stupid Cancer with our trade shows, where we wanted to make registration reasonable. But if you fundraised enough money for us, you would come for free, but we would have to reimburse you the difference between what you fundraised and we couldn't write you a check for more than $600. So we would pay your car payments and, pay your gym membership and things like that. Very clever ways around it.
Yeah. I mean, we want to make sure, our dollars get to the right places, right? We want to have donor confidence, but we also want to take away just the burden of any of their tax liabilities. But a lot of families say, oh my gosh, thank you for doing that, because we looked in our bank account and this month you paid our mortgage, so it didn't come out of our bank account. And we had extra funds to then, do the other things that are more expensive, right? Like additional takeout, childcare for other siblings. The financial burden of cancer is so real.
Yeah. Are there calm moments in the storm for you?
Are there calm moments?
Like Calgon, take me away.
Every week at our team meeting, we lean into our values. Our values are compassion, collaboration, and celebration. And we choose to take a moment in our team meeting to light a candle for anybody who's in a cancer battle and a struggle. And I find that section of our team meeting so meaningful and so beautiful and so grounding. That to me is the calm, right? You can easily get lost in, sort of the everyday pressures and everyday stresses, but to take a moment, light a candle, we go off camera, we just have 30 seconds of quiet as a team. I think that's incredibly bonding, but also incredibly grounding for all of us about why we do what we do. And again, it's that shot of perspective in the arm.
So this is a gotcha question that I always got asked as a nonprofit. You get $10 million tomorrow, what do you do?
Oh my gosh, I get it out the door so fast, Matthew. I got to tell you, our programs are super scalable. And what that means is if I did get that $10 million gift, I could say yes to every family. I have all of the processes. Again, I have over 400 social workers across the country in our network. We could distribute that money within a year. I mean, maybe 2, but it's a scalable organization, and I am waiting for that $10 million gift. So if that's on your heart, call me.
Yep. Can we talk about your book?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I don't want to miss that part. It's a big part. You're an author. It's a big deal. You're an author.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The book is called The Mastectomy I Always Wanted.
Yeah.
It's a great line.
Thank you.
Where'd that come from? I'm guessing you had a mastectomy.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. In my first year at Pinky Swear Foundation, leading the organization, I got diagnosed myself with breast cancer. And
it was your fault.
It was my fault. It was my fault. And my mom died of breast cancer too. So it felt like a double whammy. And my treatment options were to just do a lumpectomy or to choose a mastectomy. And that's the one I chose. And actually, the story goes that at work, I had to announce that I was going to take a few weeks off of work. And somebody on the team came up to me afterwards and said, hey, I've been through what you've been through. Do you want to, see the outcome? And so she was really brave, and she showed me what her reconstructed breasts look like. It gave me so much hope. And, I felt a need to want to do that for other women. I felt it was really a gift that's not available to many people. And again, my purpose in life is this direct support. I feel called to action, whether that's financial support, whether it's writing a book. I just, I want to be a resource for people, and whether it's kids with cancer or breast cancer. But I wrote the book because I just felt really, really called to helping women newly diagnosed.
Well, we'll put a link to the book in the description. What do you hope people get out of reading the book?
Number one, that you are not alone. You are not alone. When someone's newly diagnosed, it is so lonely. You feel like you're the only person. I'm sure you went through this yourself, Matthew.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
This is before the internet too, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And my book contains some really practical advice for how to prepare for that surgery, which again, I found super helpful. A lot of photos before, during, and after, because I really felt, I talked to my doctor and I said, this is a powerful choice, but can you show me what it looks like? Mm-hmm. And he said, no, I don't really have those. And knowing that, someone had done this for me, I wanted to pay it forward. Again, I'm always called to being a resource.
So you became a multi-birth variant of the families you serve.
Yeah.
At Pinky Swear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put you in a very strange perspective you never would have ever needed to ask to want to have.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Did that help augment your understanding of your mission and what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I went from being a leader of an organization to a patient.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I wasn't a child with cancer, but I was a patient.
Yeah.
And again, I was a mom when this happened with 2 young kids. So what do you think happened? Our expenses went through the roof. And I had to step away from work a little bit. And that's what parents of a child with cancer face. And so the understanding that I had of, my day job became even deeper when I saw that I had to pay for out-of-pocket expenses on my own surgery. I had to pay for parking at the hospital. I had the uncertainty. I had the fear. I had the questions. And, I had to pay for extra childcare, all the things.
Yeah.
So the stories are woven together, even though they are in some ways separate.
Do you have any specific cautionary tales or, I don't know, like, remember that series called Scared Straight in the 80s where they took prisoners and then they talked to kids on don't do crime, you'll become like me in prison.
Yeah.
Do you have any Scared Straight stories for people that are considering working for nonprofits or are considering starting a nonprofit, perhaps?
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned,
like brutal truths.
The founders of our organization, now we've been in existence for nearly 25 years. And a lot of people who lost a child are in tremendous grief and they want to start a nonprofit. And they asked to speak to our founders. And, our founders would sometimes say they wouldn't necessarily do it again. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but what happened was it's so hard. It's so hard to start a nonprofit. It took blood, sweat, and tears for them and a lot of grief and having to, relive that grief. And then they found certainly a tremendous amount of purpose in helping other families, but it was really hard, and, after 5 years, it becomes even harder. And I think that's the piece. They always say, not necessarily that they wouldn't do it again, but they would make a cautionary tale there. And in fact, we at Pinky Swear Foundation have absorbed a few nonprofits into our endowment because after 5-10 years after losing a loved one, it gets really hard.
Yeah.
It gets really hard and to sustain it. And, luckily we've had some transformational donors who've, really transformed the organization. So we are here to stay, but it's been heartbreaking to see some of the others. But I think it's also really beautiful. They take the remaining funds from their nonprofit, invest it in our endowment. And for those of you, the 5th grade, sort of what is an endowment? It's an asset. It's an investment that we never touch that money. We only use the proceeds, sort of the interest and dividends of it to fund our programs. And that happens forever.
It's a sugar daddy bank account.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's an attempt to us to build that sustainability, right, which is really hard.
Well, it's like guaranteed known income.
Yes.
Assuming the market doesn't, do all sorts of crazy shit. My version of that was I've always had guilt. And I'm not going to say I'm over this because you never really get over this, but running Stupid Cancer all those years and being the public figure that I became, or maybe am in some form today.
You are.
I approve this message. I got numb to people dying.
Oh.
And I felt bad because you have to keep a thick skin to maintain leadership.
Yeah.
And I am empathetic, but you can't not sleep every night when you're watching everyone you know and love and work with die.
Yeah.
So I've always had guilt. And I when I tell people, like, if you're working in a field where there's mortality and you're going to see a revolving door of people coming and going that you're never going to see again, that wears on you.
Yeah.
It wears on you like a rug. And you have to develop self-sustaining skills. And regrettably, having strategic apathy is one of them, and that's a terrible privilege.
Yeah. Again, that's where our programs team, they feel that a lot. Not the apathy, but the stress and the guilt of hearing about losing a child. And so again, that's where we at our team meeting, we reflect and try and take a pause on that. We do some grief work internally as a team. I never want to be that apathetic person. And again, my comfort becomes from, I know I made a difference. There was a family we worked with, and it became clear their son was terminal. And we ended up paying their mortgage for 3 months. And after their son passed away, they came back and they said, "You don't understand what you just did." And I said, "Tell me more." They said, "Yes, we lost our son, but because you paid our mortgage for 3 months, we could both parents, step away from work, and we did a bucket list with our son before he passed away." And I was like, oh.
Wow.
And that is where I get such pride in the work. And that's where I want to tell everybody that this matters. And it does make a difference. And then, like I said, I couldn't change the outcome, but I could provide that gift of time to those parents.
Steve Jobs would say you made the dent in the universe.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the butterfly effect. It's the small act of kindness.
All right. Lightning round time?
Okay. Oh, boy.
All right. These are not optional questions.
Oh, God.
Now, if you had one, what was your first AOL handle?
Oh, my goodness. And I definitely was in the AOL handle times and with the dial-up internet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was Qbert.
I
don't remember, if I'm being honest, but definitely those were the years. That was my nickname.
Okay. Qbert at AOL.com?
Yeah.
I'll accept it. Floppy disks be damned.
Yes.
Did you ever have a Hotmail account, and why do you regret it?
I didn't have a Hotmail account, but I had a Yahoo account.
Okay.
And I regret it because it is filled with spam and I no longer use it.
I use my Yahoo account just for signing up for shit I don't ever want to know about. It's perfect. Favorite John Hughes movie, Femme Fatale? Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, Mary Stuart Masterson, Jennifer Grey, or Kelly LeBrock?
Oh, Jennifer Grey, Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Brat Pack preference. You have Kevin Bacon, Rob Lowe, James Spader, Andrew McCarthy, Judd Nelson, Anthony Michael Hall, or John Cusack?
Oh, Andrew McCarthy.
Ooh.
Yeah. Wasn't he in 16 Candles?
Yes, and Mannequin.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He was a heartthrob back then.
And we can build. Sorry. Atlantic Star for the win. I can't stop. All right. I then asked AI a question.
Oh.
Because I believe AI is both our savior and our destroyer.
Probably both.
But I believe in it for the purpose of this final question here. I asked AI, if you were a combination of any three American pop culture zeitgeist figures of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, who would you be? And I fed it as much information as I could, including I found the transcript. I'm going to get my notes here. You did a YouTube interview with KRE11.
Yes.
In Minneapolis.
Yep.
And I downloaded it. I transcribed it, and it learned everything about you to a terrifying amount. And here are the three people.
Oh my God. I hope it's somebody really cool.
You're going to love it. Here are the three people AI thinks you are combined. Punky Brewster. Tough, scrappy, making the best of an unpredictable world, and a mix of optimism and rebelliousness.
That's me. Yeah.
Remember the dog's name, by the way?
Oh, no, I don't.
Brandon.
Yes.
Oof. Okay. Rosie the Robot from the Jeffersons.
What?
Juggling a million things, keeping everything running, and somehow still having a sense of humor about it.
Yeah, that's a full-time working mom's life.
And Lisa Simpson.
Lisa from The Simpsons?
Smart, idealistic, and always pushing for what's right, even when the system makes it hard.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I wouldn't have guessed Lisa Simpson, but I do love to push for through the systems, even when it's hard.
Yep. So you are Punky Brewster, Rosie the Robot, and Lisa Simpson, says AI.
Well, now, Matthew, now that you've gotten to know me, do you believe that to be true?
I think that's pretty accurate. I would say you're also Liz from 30 Rock.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever her name is. Tina Fey's character.
Yeah.
Definitely her.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe just Tina Fey.
That's an honor.
Yeah. Erica Campbell is the executive director at Pinky Swear Foundation, the author of Mastectomy I Always Wanted, a fabulously amazing human being, a how many year breast cancer survivor?
6 years.
6 year breast cancer survivor. I love meeting you. I love seeing you. I love having you here. Thank you for coming on the show.
I can't wait till we cross paths, and maybe we should take this show on the road someday, Matthew.
Road show.
Yes.
The Long Island.
The Long Island Theater Kids, all the things.
With the British Embassy in the Minnesota.
There you go.
Fargo. God, Bill Macy's going to kill me. All right. Good night, folks.
Thank you, everyone.
Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a production of Matthew Zachary Worldwide. The executive producer is Matthew Zachary. It is mixed and edited by Kyle Moore. If you like the show, ratings and reviews are always welcome wherever you get your podcasts. If you have guest suggestions or would like to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, email podcast@matthewzachary.com. For more information about Matthew Zachary and Matthew Zachary Worldwide, visit matthewzachary.com.